All right, let's go. We are on episode 37, talking a little bit of collegiate pickups and LUTI. But first and foremost, I'm Olixil. I'm joined by my co-host Neato. And for our first block, we do need to talk about some CCA division playoffs. Um,
No kidding.
Neato, I think you've been paying attention a little bit closer to the playoffs than I have. So, would you like to kind of walk us through some of the playoffs real quick?
Well, let me tell you that the playoffs are playing off currently. And
Yeah.
the reason I say that is because there's just so much going on. And what better place to start than with Division 1? Let's talk about what we saw last week in a match I also commentated. VCU, Big Fat Sea Cows, pulling off this massive reverse sweep against defending champs UCSD Esports Gold in Division 1, or the defending Division 1 champs UCSD Gold. And of course, on the other side, we had Haley sweeping Old Bay Brigade, a team that did so well, especially in the CCA circuit. So both massive wins for their respective teams, but ultimately it's going to come down to Haley facing the undefeated PSU Blue in the semifinals, and Big Fat Sea Cows, the scrappiest team I think in the pool of remaining teams in Division One, is going to meet Death Roll, a team you'll actually be hearing a little bit more about later.
Yeah, yeah. As for Division Two, Onto Scarlet is still kind of on a cruising course. Not, you know, they're going on a game 9, but they are still were able to beat out their House and Tigerfish. And H-Town Rebels also went for game 9, beating a former division champion, like overall CCA champion, Banana Split. And so we have in one of the semifinals for Division Two, H-Town Rebels versus Onsu Scarlet. Essentially the battle of the game 9s, but hopefully, maybe they'll play a game 9, but it's really going to come down to, I think, just a matter of skill. As for the other side of Division 2 playoffs, we have Reef Runners versus Smash Brothers.
I think it's one of the best rhyming conventions we have in the entire playoffs, and I don't think we'll see anything like it. But regardless, we can move on to Division 3 now, and this is something I personally experienced, as anyone from Walk will tell you. Which, speaking of which, UTK feeders Chicago Squid Hole from DePaul and Walk from Purdue routed their respective opponents, dropping a combined 2 games against their opponents. Walk completely swept Green Corn, something I noticed firsthand. UTK and CSH, DePaul's, or that other team name that everyone likes to mention every once in a while, won 5-1 in their sets. Golden Barracudas, though, defeating the offseason standout UGA Black. UGA Black was seen as one of these underdog teams that were going to spark fires all across the division. They did make the playoffs, so hats off to them, but it's going to be Golden Barracudas, facing off against Walk.
Yeah. Moving on to our Division 4 stage, we have kind of Gumi's. I don't know. Gumi's has been kind of just on a roll. Gumi's 5-0 WPI, and I think I'm gonna put a little bit of my own bias. I think Gumi's is still going to be very hard to beat. I don't think Gumi should have been here, but they're gonna be fighting against BSU Gris Taco. Gris Taco still a very strong team going on against the Division 4 playoffs. On the other side, we have 2 other sweeps from RAT Orange Coins and CSU LB Black, sweeping their respective opponents of UCSD Navy and Turnpike. So it's maybe these 2 teams, since they swept their opponents last round, maybe someone will get swept, or maybe it will be a close fight. Don't know.
Only one way to find out, and that's by playing the matches through and seeing them through, which, speaking of which, Division 5 is the perfect example of not knowing what's going to happen in these playoff matches. Cut the hook coming into the Division 5 playoffs as an undefeated team, but it is now the only undefeated team from Division 5 to not make the semifinals round, defeated by Stu that went 4-1 in the regular season. Along some more results from that playoffs, TAMU White, Texas A&M's white team, swept newcomer team U Deep from Delaware, and I think one of the community favorites, or 2 of the community favorites, NCCS Splat Llamas, and go ahead and check me if I'm wrong, chat, but it's PSU Fish facing off in the semifinals set That's 5 fishes on paper. There's many more, I believe, sneaking around somewhere. So I captured at least 5 of them, caught them before we got on set. I think everything's going well.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, checking on the tournament page, technically one of the fishes has been cut off, so you could count as, PSU. Wait, fish. Oh, only 3 fishes. The website didn't want us to load in the 2 others. Oh well. Anyways, for Division 6, we have High Tide, a very strong team, moving on into their playoff stage. Fighting against Scad Yellow, who had a little bit of a tougher fight against the other High Tide team, High Tide Terps, in a 5-3 record. So, I mean, Scad Yellow struggled against one High Tide. It's not looking so hot fighting against the other High Tide. As for the other half of the Division 6 playoffs, we have Stingray Incorporated sweeping Farmingdale State Rams, and we have IVC Stingrays 5-3 against the RIT Black Sea Dragons, which means that for the playoff stage, we have Stingray Incorporated versus IVC Stingrays, 2 teams that have pretty decent CCA history in terms of their school representation. Which I think is definitely going to be an interesting kind of match to see as, CCA legacy.
Oh, for sure. Lots of fun things going on in Division 6, and Division 7 is a good example of why I always tell people there's always great stories in every division. Cardinal Cephalopods coming in as the team with the perfect season, going with 0 games dropped in the regular season, going 5-0. But they suffer a massive upset in the first round, courtesy of Middle Tennessee State Blue. And this is something that cannot be understated. That is huge for any team, really, to go up to encounter in the playoffs. And then you got examples from other sets that include Grilled Cheese Sliders sweeping the OC Eagles, and they'll be meeting the Niner Esports team in the semifinals. Middle Tennessee State Blue, that is going to be the team I mentioned earlier. They will face off against the next best team, Dew Leaf Sheep, Dream of Sleep. I'm sure their next team will be called Blade Runner or something like that. Or maybe Blade Swimmer. Probably Blade Swimmer, but anyway. They dropped 2 games in the regular season. They also went 5-0, but I call this next best team because after beating Cardinal Cephalopods like that, you gotta face against the second best, and it's gonna be quite the gauntlet for Middle Tennessee State.
Yeah. I do think, I don't know about Blade Runner. I with the naming scheme of Dew Leaf Sheep, I think it's going to be something closer to like the I have no mouth and I must scream, but like Splatoonified. Because Leaf Sheep is kind of like a robotics novel, if I recall. And then for Division 8, we have a Game 9, actually one of the few Game 9s of Coronators 5-4 against Illinois Calamari versus Catfished, who went completely swept their opponents of Tentacoolers in their round 1 stage. So Game 9 versus 0 games lost. Gonna be maybe an uphill battle for Coronators, but we don't actually know until the semis plays offs. As for the other half, we have EA UCD Splatoon Blue and Plattsburgh's Cardinals, both 5-1 in their round 1s. A lot more, I think, even matchup. These 2 teams definitely are maybe newcomers, but they definitely have shown that they can hold their own against opponents.
Right, and this is the cool part about Division 8 is that there's always teams that come in with a little bit of experience. Some of them come in completely new to the scene. So I like that you mentioned Crawtators. They're actually the closest to being upset by their opponents. Jelly Nose Calamari, a 4-5 loss set them apart. But this is what I talk about when it's like any division could be highly competitive, and I'm glad we're still seeing it, regardless of, just talking about all the stories we just pointed out. There's a lot to uncover, and honestly, this might just be its own PodCCA podcast. We'll figure it out. I'm sure there's an official abbreviation for it, or official pronunciation for it. And I'm sure I've lost my job at this point.
It's fine. We haven't been, shoved out of the camera yet, so we're fine. But with
Yet.
that, we have covered the division recaps. We are going to see some matches coming up, getting announced on the CCA, Twitch, Splatoon 20, and Inkling Performance Labs IPL. Going to be covering up some of these matches, so feel free to check out the matches, and if you can watch them, watch them. They're all gonna be probably good watches, so stay tuned.
There's a
Um,
cat over there. But you know what? We have other special guests here too, right?
Yes, we do. We have coming in our second block. A little bit of block one was a bit fast, but the primary episode 7 is definitely going to involve our panel of guests, the collegiate pickup discussion, and LUTI. Elmo, would you like to go and bring in our guests?
I'm sure I'm pointing the right direction for this. If not, then I guess I'll find out pretty soon. But
All right.
Oh, right,
Cool.
they're right below us. So I kind of messed up the direction. Oh well.
Yeah. But anyways, would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
All right. Hello, Comrade. I go to Florida State and I play for Cosmic Eternity and Tetris Effect.
Hi, I'm B3. I go to University of Florida. I play for Death Roll and Kuikawa, and it looks like my camera is not loading.
Yeah. Nice to see you guys on this podcast. Since this is still going to be a LUTI centric discussion, yeah, I gotta ask some personal questions. You guys are playing LUTI, so how have your LUTI runs been going? We're in the reschedule week of LUTI, so fill us in.
My LUTI run so far has been kind of chaotic because it's been like sometimes my full team can't be there, sometimes like other people are missing, so we kind of gotta like piece together different parts of the team to play. We've won like 2 of our games, we've lost 2, and our last one's tonight afterwards. So excited to get that 3-2 in the bag.
Love it.
Nice. Yeah. How about you, B3?
My LUTI set is LUTI's going alright. We've played 2 sets. We've had 2 forfeits. We might have a 3rd forfeit. We'll see how it goes. Unfortunately, we did lose our 2 sets, but one of them was really close, so it's been really fun.
Nice to hear. Yeah, that's kind of my question. You want to hit us with another question, Neato?
Sure. And this one actually comes with a bit of my personal perspective because I am part of Cream Corn. I was also part of the Grillers for a bit, and I know that these seem like 2 totally different realms, LUTI and CCA, both based not only on objective things such as map lists and number of sets you're playing, the people you're playing against, but I know since you guys are playing in what is essentially CCA pickups, and there's a more added challenges to this, and also more added benefit to this. I wanted to ask y'all, what encouraged you or motivated you to choose to participate in LUTI with these collegiate pickups? Collecting a wide variety of players. I know, for example, Comrade has members like Cyan and Alto. They're from Champlain. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's Arter from New Mexico, right? Is that how we're pronouncing it?
Yep.
Perfect. Doing great. And then B3, you have Kuikawa, you have Kibi and Destructor from Oklahoma, you got Okamu from Onsu Scarlet. So I wanted to ask y'all, is there anything that motivated y'all or inspired you to choose to do LUTI as well with the collegiate pickup?
Yeah.
I know. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you can go.
All right. Yeah. So for me, CCA is actually what got me interested in competitive Splatoon. I didn't really come into it knowing that I wanted to play competitive, and I kind of had planned on continuing to play after I graduated, but last semester, as Death Roll has gradually picked up more high-level competitive players, like at this point, everybody that Death Roll is kind of filled with players who have a lot of competitive experience, and it kind of felt like I needed to get more experience of my own to keep up with them. And so doing really well in Division 1 last semester really motivated me to go and get some more of my own practice outside of with Death Roll, just so that I could make sure that I'm keeping up with the team and am able to stick it in Div 1.
Got it. Okay. I mean, so is this kind of why you like? I guess you couldn't play with your actual team, because I feel like when in terms of CCA setting, LUTI I think is a really great tool, as a practice, and I think it is beneficial to kind of play with your CCA team in LUTI if you have the capacity to help you prepare for CCA matches.
Mhm.
But do you think it's kind of do you have kind of a disagreement with that? Like, do you think it's better just a solo development or like a team development in terms of like further? Because CCA
Well, I
is
think if
still
you,
short.
yeah, I think if everyone on your team's priority is to develop as that team and to maximize like how well you do as that team, then yeah, you want to play as much together as possible. But CCA is really interesting because it gets people from a lot of different backgrounds. Some of my teammates, actually 3 of my other teammates are on LUTI teams of their own. Henlo is in
Mhm.
Floater's Grab a Life Fest, Nico's
Goodness.
on Foams Forever After, and Nitro is on Hey Man. So they all have pretty established competitive careers. They really want to keep on playing with their teams and their friends. And
No
so
kidding.
it doesn't really make sense for them to. It doesn't make sense for us all to join as Death Roll when we're all such of varying skill levels. And so going and making a collegiate pickup is a really great way, I found, to get experience with people of your own skill level when your CCA team may have different goals with their competitive play.
Yeah, I mean, like, looking at the rest of your roster, I'm looking at these are names that I don't usually see inside of CC either. So when I see Henlo, when I see Nico on there, I'm thinking, okay, clearly we didn't do a good enough job of verification. But then I remember it's like, wait, it's a CCA. We don't need verification.
There's
It's
no
fine. Just let it play.
verification.
Yeah, let's just let it play. Let it play. It's fine. But yeah, no, that's really cool having that. And it's really nice hearing your perspective too, because obviously you have that roster with you, and then having a different roster with your LUTI team, which is 2 teams I actually saw in Division 3 or CCA rather, CCA Division 3 a while ago from Oklahoma. Of course, you have one player who's also with Ansu Scarlet, so that's Division 2 right there. And they're one of the best I think they're one of the better up and coming teams that I've seen. So I love watching them play, but I do like that you have that perspective of maybe if I get perspective from not only people within a higher skill level, but also having people within this like skill bracket closer to me. That's also I think it's really cool, basically. And you know what? I actually wanted to ask that. I wanted to ask the same first question to Comrade because Comrade has a similar situation to thinking about how you're on a LUTI Div 4 team with Tetris Effect, you're on a CCA Div 2 team with Cosmic Eternity. It's almost, I wouldn't say a flip script entirely. You are in a higher LUTI team, but it's still like a similar situation that you have one roster and then you have another roster.
Yeah, I mostly did the LUTI with a collegiate pickup because it lets me play with people I wouldn't normally play with because I see the people in Cosmic Eternity very often. I play with them frequently. So it's good to give them a break from having to force one type of team comp because of the weapons I play. And
Yeah, no kidding.
it's just like a good way to bond with the community if you reach out and talk to other people outside your college, because then it gives you a possibility to maybe find people from other colleges that want to play against you, so you get like scrim partners for your college team.
Yeah, and that's actually one thing I noticed playing alongside the Grillers. I mean, I already have 2 scrim partners right there. I have Yeet, who is a member of Grizz Taco, a team we mentioned earlier during the during the playoff section, the recap section rather. And I also have RDB, a member of the Corsairs team from Massachusetts. So we have a lot of connections there, a lot of people we can scrim at any moment. And we're probably going to be talking to Grizz Taco at some point just because of how well they're doing in Div 4 anyway. So Hey, makes sense. I also wanted to ask you a similar, or actually wanted to ask both of y'all this next question. Are there any differences that you all notice in preparing for a LUTI match compared to a CCA match? Because that is something I've noticed myself. Of course, I notice a difference in map lists, and believe me, it's a whole confusing story in of itself. The number of matches you have to play, also another confusing bit, because I know with CCA we just now got to best of 9 sets too. So, or at least with the playoffs. So, in any order, I want to know what y'all's thoughts are in terms of like preparations for weekly matches between both leagues.
I feel like LUTI, since the week's games have more like games you have to play in them, I feel like you have to set aside more time to get ready for it because it's such a large time investment. Whereas CCA ones are like, yeah, they're best of what, 7? So you could still like get it down in an hour and it's not too much of a time besides like the scrimming and stuff. But it's just LUTI feels like it can drag on if the teams are evenly matched.
Yeah, no
So
kidding.
I agree. And in a sense, I feel like even though that is true, I almost feel like CCA begs a little bit more like direct attention because LUTI, like CCA has usually those wildcard maps that you don't see in other places, like Rainmaker, Marlin. You kind of need to get together and practice with your team on those map modes, play out that week's set list in advance. Otherwise, you're kind of not gonna you're not gonna know how to play going in. Whereas with LUTI, it's maybe a little bit less important to directly play the map list ahead of time, and you can get practice in by doing sendo queue or doing a tournament. I think it's a little bit less specific what you have to do to really prepare.
Right,
But
and
then again,
that
it's also up to the team because I mean, some semesters that I've played, we really don't do all that much prep at all, and other semesters, some teams are prepping a lot. I know Inker will usually spend hours prepping
goodness.
exactly how his team can counter every potential threat on every map mode.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, and I kind of get it too because with Korean Corn, it's this thing where I have to help this team prepare because maybe they're not as skilled in Splatoon and not have as much experience playing through all these Splatoon games as much as me. So it's like, okay, how do I tell them this? But how do I not just say like all this technical talk and simplified in a way that works? So it's definitely an interesting balance we need to find between collegiate life and just playing in CCA and LUTI. And well, I was going to talk about maps, but I know I know what these maps are. I want to say unorthodox, and that's totally fine. I know there's if you want discussion on it, I'm sure there's places for it. But I mean, you probably heard it all by now. So we'll just. I did have one more question, at least in this one little section that I was propping up for y'all here. I think my biggest question, and I know this is something that I wanted to pitch because there's definitely at least one or two collegiate teams that I've seen that collegiate players in LUTI season 16 document and said maybe I want to do pickup myself. Do y'all think more collegiate players should participate in pickups? And maybe, at least for the purpose of this discussion, I want to leave it to just collegiate pickups because that's what the main focus of this is. And I know that with collegiate pickups, there might be some more ease of access there.
yeah, I believe that more collegiate Splatoon players should be making pickups with other collegiate players that they wouldn't normally play with because it gives them an experience to bond with other people they wouldn't see as regularly as their own team. And it also helps them learn new weapons that aren't like normally played on their team comps. So it's like you could have like a stamper player or some type of sword that isn't normally on your team, or like a dualies or something that's not just like a standard pencil blank fill in the blank team comp.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. Pencil has, I think, definitely made some team building kind of, bland. But I think that could be said for any of the metas. Coming doing crab metas, like you gotta have a crab, or you just done to grab a splash-o-matic machine. Grab a machine before the machine
Yeah,
got
I gotta say,
flooded.
I like the awkward laughter we had for a second after the whole pencil talk. I think we all knew across the board, oh god, it's pencil again. Whatever.
Yeah.
Pencil jump scare.
I was thinking there's a lot of benefits to looking for a college pickup team in particular, like for different reasons. I mean, of course, like assuming that you want to play in LUTI in the first place, I think that looking for a collegiate pickup actually really makes life a lot easier for you, because you're kind of, once you go into the pickup, you kind of already have something in common. You have something to talk about. Makes it a lot easier to make friends, and also just having like being able to reach out to the collegiate community, it makes it a lot easier to find a team. Like I know my team, I found them because one of my friends, Demo from GMU, who I play with in CCA, or I've played against in CCA, he vouched for me to get me into that team. It made my life a lot easier when my previous team suddenly exploded a week before LUTI registrations closed, and all of a sudden I need to find a team in the next week. A lot of people, I know some people who have had really hard times finding a team, but having those connections from the collegiate community made it a lot easier.
Right. That's definitely that's a good point you make there. I mean, we're all college students, right? We're all enrolled in classes. Some of us are heading into finals week, or at least heading into the last month of the semester. Some of us have a little bit more to go. So I like that you mentioned that we all have this, overlooking idea of that we're all college students. At some point, we're going to have to do tests, midterms, homework, projects, whatnot. So I like that you pointed that out, and I'll go ahead and leave it to Olixil here. I believe has one more question, if I'm pointing the right direction.
Yeah. I don't know about the right direction. I could be somewhere else on the screen. I mean, I'm not
That's
really
the right
looking.
direction. It's
All of them.
Yeah, I have a lot of tabs pulled up right now, so it's hard for me to kind of navigate exactly to where I need to kind of go to. But
It's
yeah,
that one.
yeah, it's that one. But you, thanks for the great transition, Nito. It would, it would. So, were your teammates coming from your, I guess, like your former opponents, or was it kind of just a here and there, maybe you partnered with them like during study abroad, or like was it or was it something of more of you found your teammate and they coincidentally were like also college students?
Hmm. I don't exactly remember the full set of cases, but I know that I encounter a lot of people because I used to respond to the pickup calls for scrims in this server, the CCA's server, very frequently. Like the the mythical Kureki pings of trying to get people to play together. And it was always enjoyable to meet new people there. So my guess is that I met like Cyan through that.
Okay, okay.
yeah. For me, I just put out a free agent post. And in my DMs got a message from Kibi saying that Demo, who had just previously tried out for that team but wound up joining another team, recommended me for the spot. So I actually didn't know them beforehand. I knew of both teams because I don't know if I played against them, but we were both in Div 1 of Circuit last season. So also made it a lot easier. It kind of made tries a lot easier because we decided that we were gonna try me out like 2 or 3 days before LUTI registrations closed, and so it made it a lot easier to like know that they were gonna be we would be able to keep up with each other because we both played at that same level before.
Got it. Got it. That's very good insights. Um, and so I'd say I think I think that's kind of all the questions I have for in terms of questions directly to you guys. I think we can talk a little bit more about kind of maybe LUTI. Do you think LUTI is kind of like a more difficult, I guess, league compared to CCA, or is it like kind of the same like difficulty in terms of just matchups?
I feel like LUTI is harder, but not really in the game. It's more of scheduling it because it's a giant chunk of time that needs to take in order to play
Everyone's
one game.
laughing. I love it.
Yeah.
It's honestly the biggest headache of LUTI is trying to schedule one game a week, and then it's just like, oh hey, can we do it next week? Oh yeah, we could probably do it next week. Oh sorry, we had to drop, and it's like, buh.
Oh man.
Yeah. I think CCA is harder in that less teams drop, so you have to play more sets total. But
Yeah.
I mean, really, I think the answer there of which is harder is just, did the CCA staff or the LUTI staff do a worse job of seeding you?
That's
Now,
crazy.
there might be seating staff watching this, and there might be some taking note of this for next time. Which I was part of seating staff, so let me just go ahead and write that. No, okay.
That's it. Death roll Div 8 right now.
I can't even
Yeah,
put them
see-
Div 8. I mean, they got one of two buys in the playoffs, so if I put them in Div 8, I will be sworn up and down by the rest of the seating staff. So
We
don't worry,
might win
guys.
debate.
I hope you do.
Now you lose round 1.
I hope we don't. Okay, that's a great place to transition actually, because we're talking about, or at least my next question is about improvement. And I was going to make this a two-parter, but I feel like it's best asked as one question. So again, I know we all know it. It's there's a world of a difference between LUTI and CCA, at least with the teams you play against. I want to know from both of y'all, how do y'all view LUTI and maybe even LUTI and CCA as tools for improvement? Like, are there things you can gather from playing in LUTI that maybe you can bring to CCA, and are there things for playing against CCA teams that you can bring to LUTI teams to improve on, or at least tell the rest, like discuss with the rest of your team? I find I've been able to do both throughout both regular seasons. I wanted to know what y'all think here.
You want to take this one first? You can.
Okay. Yeah. So I went in kind of expecting LUTI to be an improvement tool for CCA, because I have less competitive experience than most of my team, and so I was looking to play in LUTI specifically to get extra experience to keep up with CCA. So my experience is probably a little bit different than some other people. I play same weapon in similar comps in both, so the skills are pretty transferable. If I realize I'm doing one thing wrong in my LUTI match, then I realize that I shouldn't do that in my CCA match either. So I wouldn't really even say that there's one or the other that helps me more, because they are both pretty applicable.
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback off that. I kind of do the exact opposite as B3. I treat LUTI as the big main dish kind of thing, and then CCA is like a fun little dessert I get to play with my friends with on the side. And
Love it.
it's like I use the stuff I learned from LUTI. It's like, okay, try not to feed here. Yeah, let's not do that. And I go back to the CCA one. It's like, all right, let's not feed here, and then I win. So it's a pretty good use of my time to take LUTI and put it into the CCA, because it not only helps myself, but it helps my teammates too.
I like thinking about this as like this IQ meme where it's like maybe people not as knowledgeable the game will just say, well, don't die. That's the best like strategy you can have in a game. Over here is like mid-level or competitive Splatoon, not necessarily just collegiate, but like mid-level Splatoons can be like, well, here's this thing you should do. Here's this thing you should do. And then high-level Splatoon at some point is going to end up as, well, don't die. And it's really funny that y'all brought that up, because as a member, as mentioning those both teams I was on, it's really funny how I bring don't die, but in like these fancier terms into Supreme Corn. So I'm telling them like, okay, so let's not get staggered here. Let's wait for your specials. Let's play patient. And then I go over to the grillers and I'm like, okay, the CCA team taught me not to die. So I'm going to not die. Let's go ahead and head into our next Div 3 matchup and whatnot. So, whatever. I mean, I think I've discussed my LUTI and CCA woes enough. Olixil could probably take over for the one question here.
Yeah, 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 I don't know. I think griping about this game, I think it's just a thing that is in our blood as competitive players. If we see the opportunity for any sort of annoyance as competitive players, we do kind of point that out. But
We
yeah,
love Splatoon so much we hate it.
Well, yeah, when you love something so much, you see the negative things and you want it to change. So it's only natural.
yeah.
Fair enough.
But one question that kind of popped up while we were in kind of this discussion was like, do you think there's kind of a difference between like I guess collegiate pickups versus normal pickups? Does that like I guess familiarity of hey, you're in college as well? Oh wow, and like you could talk maybe like majors or stuff like that. It's like, and does that like help in terms of like synergy in terms of like I guess gameplay or like any of that other team related I guess aspects? I
It
asked very.
certainly. No, it's fine. I think I understand what you meant. It certainly helps with the nerves when you're trying out for the first time for the team. It's just like, oh, this person has something in common with me, so I shouldn't be as scared. Whereas if you're trying out for a team of people that aren't in college or have already graduated, and it's just like, oh, I don't know what I have in common with these people. I'm kind of nervous that they're not going to like how I play, and then you're kind of too self conscious of how you play, and then you end up feeding. So I feel like it's something that helps you calm down. So like, okay, they're just like me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Just
agree.
like me for real.
I was gonna say pretty much the same thing. It makes it a lot easier to find things to talk about, especially if you're going into that pickup. If you don't really know the people as well, it definitely makes it a lot easier to feel comfortable and find topics of conversation. And throughout the season, if they're like, "Oh, I'm playing against this team this week," you can say, "Oh, I played them an entrance exam." They're so annoying.
They suck.
Yeah, that team
Ah,
was awful.
stop hunting me down.
So, are you saying like the I guess the difference between a normal pickup and like a collegiate pickup is really that initial I guess entry of like getting to know people, but I guess the communications and like synergy kind of is at the end of the day is mostly equivalent of just like being able, if you can converse with your teammates, you can converse with your teammates, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I play with a pickup of other college students that I don't know, we're talking the whole time about CCA and whatever. When I play with a pickup of people that I don't know, Mike is usually silent except for, you know, like basic small talk or call outs. So it makes it a lot more fun, especially in the beginning stages when you don't know each other as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of my question. Would you like to draw a new question out of our hat, out of our our collegiate hat, I guess, Nito?
Yes. I thought I was gonna draw something and then ended up writing yes. So this joke didn't land as much as I thought it would. But hey, that's fine. If the podcast ever has a comedy hour, you know I'm like one of the last people you contact. But what? See, I'm not even in the episode, and I'm already getting booed. But I mean, so this is, of course, a general discussion, and I'm glad we're having this general discussion because there's one question I had for both of y'all, and it goes beyond, I believe, this LUTI CCA circle, or I guess a little bit past that circle, because I wanted to know from y'all. Y'all have played in collegiate teams, collegiate pickups, so forth. I think my question would be: would you like to see more of these like CCA teams and even just the players themselves playing in not only LUTI next season? Because to my experience, that could be anywhere from in 4 months from now to next year or so. And with and if it's not LUTI, would you like to see more CCA teams practicing in outside tournaments? I mean, we know some of the more famous teams that do that, or at least some of the more well-known teams that do that right now are the Night Sharks. That's a team that I know for a long while have been doing pickups outside of
Olixil
CCA.
saying no.
Night Sharks died. Night Sharks died last semester. I'm sorry.
Dead sharks.
Sorry, the UCF Knights. You can't kill old name, all right? I'm looking at you, Arcalia. I remember Comet
I'm pretty sure they
Blasters.
are still. I see them registering tournaments as Night Shark all the time.
I know they are in Div and in LUTI, rather. They are in LUTI.
Mhm.
Although Olixil can yell at me more if he wants to correct me.
Yeah, it's due to the kind of the roster changes we had between semesters. Night Sharks did like do like things closer to like SOS and weeklies, and less things like leady, because it's just like, nah, we don't want to play. Just do one weekly and that's it. Um, it's there's a little bit of a difference in terms of the drive between our players because of roster changes, but that's kind of like the nature of college teams, really. It's just
Yeah.
like new players, old players, some graduating, some not. It's always
Mhm.
trying to figure out how to change I guess the team practice schedule.
Right, and it's really because like most of these like the collegiate teams you see right now will last at most 4 years. So it's a lot of stuff can change there. And I was mentioning earlier teams that have done well outside of CCA. One of them was Big Fat Sea Cows, a team you'll probably hear a lot more outside of CCA. Other teams being like Banana Split. Some of the teams on the rise are Scarlet. Again, lots of examples I could give you off the top of my head, but I want to know from y'all, would you like to see more of these CCA teams and players themselves playing in outside tournaments, especially now that we're reaching the off season? Unfortunately, CCA League is going to come to a close in these next few weeks. So, would you like to see more of these teams play outside of CCA during the off season?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
It's good to keep playing the game because you improve even if you don't notice it the longer you play.
Yeah, Comrade, tell us about how much better Cosmic Eternity is your players on that are this season than they were last season, because they played so much over winter break and are still playing together.
Well, the rest of my team has gone off to make a team called Future Town. They're currently in Div 8-ish, but it's basically still Cosmic Eternity, and then one member formerly from Champlain Cerulean, and then one member from WPI. Basically, they have gone really far. They've gotten an FTIU band. They're all working well together. So it's honestly really nice watching them improve over a very short amount of time, and it makes me happy to play with them.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like playing outside of CCA has helped me improve a lot. I can feel a really big difference in how I feel in CCA games this season versus how I did last season. Um, but it's really fun being able to log on to Sendo and like see SOS and just wonder who's playing, and you say, "Oh, I know that team," because you've seen them in CCA. It gives you like a frame of reference and helps you be a lot more excited about watching tournaments. And there's so many examples of teams that you can see that like people really improve in by doing outside stuff besides CCA. I think one of the best examples is Big Fat Sea Cows, who that's what we're playing against on Saturday night at 8 p.m. on this Twitch channel. Go watch. They have
Yes,
so
more of
many
that,
good
yes!
players. They're all in they're all in Div 3 or higher. And it almost feels like, at first glance, it's almost like that's almost not fair. Like, how do they have so many good players at their school? Until you realize that, like, almost all of the players at their school were all low level when they started, or didn't play comp before they started playing together, realized that they liked it, got into comp outside of that, and now they're all doing amazing.
It's
Yeah.
always good to play either with or without your team. It's good to play with your team if you're all around like the same graduating time, so you can keep playing the CCA together. But it's so you can like bond together and grow together. So because since you see each other so often, you're gonna kind of get a gist of how they play because you've known them for so long. And even if you are not going to play with your collegiate team, it's still good to go out and play the game because you're just going to improve naturally the longer you play.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, like,
absolutely. I think also besides graduation time, one thing that's really important and really impacts how a lot of teams play together is everybody's competitive goals and where they're at in their competitive career. So like if everybody is around the same skill level, like the RIT teams, and UCF, like they're able to play in LUTI together and be really successful, and for them it's really worthwhile for all of them to continue playing together outside of CCA because that team comp still works for them. Other times when you have like some players who have a lot more competitive experience, it doesn't really make sense for them to like play with their CCA team a lot outside of the game, and so when they have their own goals, they want to continue improving on their own. It makes sense for them to play with people that are of their own skill level, and so the rest of that team, if they want to keep improving, you kind of need to look for opportunities on your own.
Right, and I think it's cool that one of y'all mentioned that your teammates are all in one area because, like, now that we're out of the playoffs, of course, for us, it was a disappointing loss, but it's cool because at the same time, we have one of our teammates who's going to have a birthday soon enough, and we all decided we're going to have a little get together where we can just bond, have fun. I mean, we finally found a place in the semester where we can stop thinking about competitive Splatoon and just have fun with one another. I mean, heck, this weekend we're all going to play the Splatfest knowing that, well, we don't have to play competitive anymore. We don't need to worry about comps or strats or whatever. Let's just play the game for the sake of playing the game. And I love talking about stuff like that because every once in a while you got to remember Splatoon isn't all just competitive. You can still have fun with it. And especially with collegiate teams, there is more avenues to do that because, I mean, all my teammates live in Lincoln, so why not? But yeah, Olixil has another question, I believe, lined up for us.
Yeah.
Or y'all. I guess.
Yeah, I did. I mean, this is backtracking a little bit. We did go on like during the like the CCA teams, more CCA teams showing up. We did go kind of on more of a rant, but it was a question pertaining to that was kind of just if you see more, I guess, collegiate teams and these collegiate pickups, you think it would lead to more rivalries, I guess? Because I feel like sometimes teams kind of show up in like these open level tournaments and be like, I just fought a team, it was a hard sweep, or that was a close match, or I swept them. It's like, okay, whatever. I don't know these people, but sometimes you're just like, hey, that's a CCA team. Let me go beat them up, and then go beat them up again. CCA.
It's
Yeah.
definitely nice seeing people you would normally see in the CCA and be like, oh, I know you, I'm gonna beat you up, and then you lose like a really close game, and it's just like, haha, L, and then you get your rerun in the CCA and you end up winning it, and then you feel good.
Yeah,
So,
or even when you don't play against each other, when I'm playing SOS and I see some other CCA team like, ooh, I want to get in a bracket with them, or I want to get above them, I want to outplay them. You know, even if you don't have a chance to play, it makes it exciting, like to be able to try to do better than them. And when you're matching up against them, it immediately gives you something to be like, oh, hey, I know you guys. It makes you care a lot more about the match than if they're just some random person that you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely, I think I get where you're feeling. Yeah, because, sometimes you may be not in the same CCA division, but, there could be also some times where, like, a CCA team is, like, in a different division, but you see them in open level, and you're just like, huh? Wait, how did this result happen? And because for me, I'm in my LUTI division. I'm in LUTI division 8. My team had to fight against cardinal cephalopods in LUTI in our group stage, and cardinal cephalopods is CCA division 7, and we got a lot of games taken off from us from cardinal cephalopods, and I was like, who are these people? How are they this low in CCA? What the heck?
That brings me back to my question from earlier. Who did it worse, the LUTI seeding or CCA seeding? You know.
We're putting y'all in a special
I'll be both.
division next season.
Yeah, Deferal just doesn't get to play the game anymore. Smile.
Yeah.
I mean, half of our roster's leaving next season, so.
Oh, well.
UF falls off? What? Who said that?
I mean, I don't think you should say that. I think we still need a Florida takeover, comrade.
I think it's
Yeah.
USF's turn next season. They're
I'm
improving
talking-
a lot.
I talked to the staff a lot about Florida potentially becoming just like a Splatoon state because all of a sudden we have 3 teams in CCA Div 1. I'm like, huh? When did this happen?
I mean, who knows? But you do have 3 Florida people in this podcast. There may
That's
be some
true.
bias to that right now.
I like how it's like 3 Florida and all of a sudden just like 1 Nebraska, and it's like, well, I'm from the mid South too.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm from Texas, which is close enough.
enough.
None of us want to consider ourselves from the South, so.
Fair enough. Fair enough. You know what? I understand that.
Florida isn't
Moving-
real. Wake up, Neato.
Oh, okay.
Neato's been
got
talking to
one.
himself this whole time.
That makes a lot of sense, me. Thank you, me. Fun stuff all around.
But let me see. So that's kind of my question. Is there any more questions in the hat you see, Neato?
You know what? I gotta go ahead and throw a curveball in there before I get to the final remarks. But I think I gotta ask just because what's the funniest moment you've had with your collegiate players in these pickups? I know we just got to the broader discussion, but let's go and throw some funny in there. What's the funniest interaction y'all have had? Oh no.
I don't know if I have anything per se, but it's mostly just me running in, dying. It's like, you need to stop running in and dying. And then I run in and I kill people. And it's like, this is the payoff that I was looking for. I don't know, it's like gambling.
Splatoon is a lot like gambling. Yeah, I actually kind of agree. Shallow Machine, shoutouts to you. But
Hell yeah.
Yeah, pretty much same thing for me when my teammates tell me to stop dropping from ledge when the enemy is pushing, and I stopped doing that, and suddenly we start playing better.
It's like, but I wanna throw! It makes the game more
Exactly!
fun!
Yes!
But
Yes!
If
I
I'm
wish.
closer to them, then I can shoot at them more.
Exactly.
They can also shoot at me more, but
No, they can't. They're bullets going around
Exactly.
you.
Just win your fights. Just win your fights, B3.
If they
No.
die, they can't shoot back. Think about this, and this is why Cream Corn is going to be the team in Division 3 ever. It's like the
Exactly.
writing's
I
on the
don't know
wall.
I don't know about that.
Out of all the teams in Division 3, Cream Corn is one of them.
A
It's
team of
true.
all time.
Yes.
The team of all time.
The Florida
Uh,
Division.
D.
The
Division
Re-
F.
rename Div 1 to Division Florida and only put the Florida Division.
That's a good point.
We renamed the divisions after how good each state is.
Good point.
It may be
Yeah.
hard for some regions just because they have like one school. But California's fine. There is literally could be a division California.
Yeah.
But I think I may play off this my own joke, but out of this like question of a bucket hat of like questions, I don't really see anything. So I'm going to go and backtrack a little bit. Personally, so Comrade and B3, were there any kind of points you think wanted to kind of elaborate on, or that we just didn't discuss? Because the collegiate pickup scene, I think pickup culture is still a little bit shaky, I guess, in terms of Splatoon, because pickup culture doesn't really enforce, the team setting because you're constantly changing out your teammates.
Yeah, the pickup culture isn't necessarily fantastic, though. I feel like that only really describes the game as you climb, because I don't know. I feel like a pickup in the CCA, like out of CCA members, it would be you kind of just stick together for a while. You play a bunch together, and then if the team dissolves, you still remain friends. It's not like you just disappear from each other because you have nothing in common anymore other than playing the game. It's like, oh, how's it going with your school? I don't know. That's my opinion about the pickup stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
It's... I don't know how to describe it other than it's just kind of... It's not really pickup culture. It's more of, let's get together and play the game. And then you just keep playing the game together for weeks. And it's like, oh, well, we might as well be a team at this point.
Yeah, well, I don't really like calling a LUTI pickup a pickup because it's a pickup, but we're playing together for 6 weeks, maybe more if we make playoffs. Like, guys, be
Yeah.
serious, you're a team.
Oh, man.
Do you have a blue sky? Yes. Okay, you're a team now. Have fun.
You guys have a Sendo page.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
have a
no.
second page? It's over for you. You're not a pickup.
Look, and some of y'all mentioned it, like, at the higher level, this usually happens, like, this, like, pickup stuff usually happens, and to tell you the truth, it very much does. I mean, there's both as a commentator as a player, you notice there's a team that you face against, or you start to, or you're about to cast, and you notice that all these teams have rosters whose names you remember from elsewhere, and I'm like, guys, you guys are a team, you know that. You signed up for this as a team. You are playing as a team. You will win or lose as a team. Yet your sign up, or the team name you provided at sign up was pickup. No, you're a sedan, girl.
I think it's just a running bit at this point. It's just like, oh yeah, it's a pickup, but like it's actually been a team for like the past 3 months. Just don't
It's a
look too
bluff
deep into it.
inside a bluff. So it's like, oh, we're pickup, but we're not. But we are. We're not.
It's like, oh, we're not that coordinated, but we've actually been playing together for the past half a year. But well, we're still a pickup. That's our name.
Like
Always.
Nico's team foams, every time they enter a tournament, they enter technically as a pickup because they change their name every time and they just increment it. I think they're on like foams 49 right now.
Yeah.
Just raised
Yeah.
by 1 every time.
Yeah, no, I've seen Foams 49. I think at one point I commentated Foams 47, Foams 38. I think there's so
Let
many
me see.
sequels, it might actually catch up to the Fast and Furious franchise.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
I mean, their LUTI team is called Foams Forever After because it was Foams last season.
That's a great. And I've always thought of that because, like, that's gotta be a great reference. Shout outs to Shrek, dude. I'm sure Shrek is loving competitive Splatoon, at least in Division 1. But whatever.
Oh, they're on Foams 47, excuse me.
Ah, my
How
bad.
dare you slander them?
I swear I saw 49 at some point. But I don't know. Maybe we'll probably will in the future. But
Soon.
anyway.
Foams 49 coming soon.
200 tournament near you. Anyway. I mean, looks like this hat's out of questions. I don't know where the hat went actually. I'm supposed to have something on my head. But I want to know if there's any closing remarks from y'all. Like, is there anything else we want to talk about real quick before we head out for the noche or night or morning, evening, afternoon?
I just have one thing to say. Keep playing the game. If you feel bad about yourself and you're not where you are, just keep playing. You'll get there eventually.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta keep a positive outlook. It's all about
Yeah,
that
that
growth
really is the
mindset.
best thing to do.
All right. What about you, B3? Any further
Yeah, I mean that
remarks?
really is the best thing to do. If you're feeling frustrated in CCA, you can just play the game on your own too. Like, it's a great way to improve.
All right. Sounds good. So with that, we're gonna be ending it with closing things. But let me go and quickly ask, Comrade B3, where can we exactly find you guys?
You could find me on Blue Sky, Comrade-SPL. I don't use Twitter anymore because I don't know. My feed has been abandoned and replaced with ads, so I don't use that app anymore.
I am also B3-SPL at bluesky.com or bluesky.social.
Very creative.
All
Yeah.
right. Nice.
We're all
Thanks
some
for-
blue skiers.
Thanks for being on here.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us. It was really fun.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure
Yep.
talking.
Good luck at LUTI, good luck at CCA, especially Death B3. You've got
Yeah.
a match against the big fat sea cows who I think they're lying. They're not actually that big. They're like regular cow size.
They're pretty big. They we're playing them 8 p.m. on Saturday. This stream link.
There you go.
This stream link, make sure to tap in. We were the top 2 teams last season. It'll be a great match.
Primetime matchup. What more could you ask for?
Yep.
Vote. Root for B3. I am not biased whatsoever.
I also think you should root for me.
I'm actually gonna be anti-rooting you, though I'm still gonna gamble on you.
Mhm.
I got my 53,000 channel points on the CCA, betting on you're gonna win.
This stream is sponsored by Splat Duel.
But I think with that, thank you all for tuning in to episode 37, talking a little bit about our collegiate pickups and a little bit of a LUTI discussion as it's kind of required. And see you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, for the night.